Hi, everybody, and welcome to our first podcast episode. I'm Megan, and I'm here with Jen, and we are your hosts for the Small Business Boot Camp podcast. Jen and I also make up part of the executive team at Kids First Sports Center located in Cincinnati, Ohio. Kids First has been in business for almost 50 years and is a leader in the children's instructional services industry. Twice a year, we host a small business boot camp with our partner, mentor, and Kids First founder, Jeff Metzger. Boot camp is a 3.5-day total immersion business seminar. Our small business boot camp podcast will focus on business and entrepreneurship, the unique challenges and opportunities of the children's instructional industry, staffing, training, and so much more. Pretty much anything we can talk about. So let's jump in. Jen, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been here?
I've been here for a little bit. I actually joined Kids First in 1998, so I'm coming up on 23 years. I am originally from Oregon and came out to Ohio just to be here for a few years. A few years turned into a lifetime. I started out at Kids First in the girls' competitive team department and then transitioned about 7 or 8 years later into our preschool gymnastics program, which is our tumblebee department. And just recently, within actually the end of 2019, transitioned into the executive team. And fast forward a couple of months, COVID hit and found myself in the president's seat alongside you. So look how that happened.
Lucky us.
How about you?
Well, I started with Kids First not quite as long as you have been here. I started in 2013 running our summer camps. So I was running our summer camp department, special events. And then it just slowly grew into my background was in some minor league baseball marketing, YMCAs. And as we were learning that there would be an exit of Steve Greeley, who was our vice president, longtime partner, friend of boot camp, and as he was going to be stepping back and moving back to California, I started to talk to Jeff about stepping in for some marketing. So I stepped into the seat of just being the marketing manager in September of 2019 as Steve was leaving, and then Jeff was stepping back a little bit from Kids First. Jen stepped in, COVID happened, and now we sit here as the executive team, if you will, along with Emily and Kim. Emily's our HR manager and Kim is our controller.
And
so,
partners.
And partners.
Yeah.
Of Kids First.
Of Kids
with
First.
Jeff. With Jeff.
Sorry,
partners
clarify that.
of Kids First Sports Center, right. So let's talk a little bit about boot camp and what boot camp is. Jeff will be the perfect person to talk about that in the future. And actually he's going to be on with us in I think our third episode to really talk about the history of boot camp and why he started it and just all the principles, why it stopped at one time, why it's restarted again, and why it's so important.
And his vision moving forward, what it will be.
Right. So let's just talk about what is boot camp? Our podcast is called the Small Business Boot Camp Podcast. For people that are close to Kids First or close to our industry, they're familiar with that name, but people that might be tuning in or hearing of us may not know what that is. So do you want to talk a little bit about what Metzger Boot Camp, which is now kind of rebranded to Small Business Boot Camp, what that is, how long it's been in session, and a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think it'll be great when Jeff is here to give a little bit more backstory on it, but the brief synopsis is boot camp has been around since 1991, and it was a really great opportunity for Jeff to share his knowledge with the industry, the gymnastics industry. In 1991, the idea of privately owned multi-venue sports facilities did not really exist, at least in the United States or anywhere, I don't believe. And it was a great way for him to share his knowledge, his experience, his wisdom with gym club owners and help them to just take that next leap of many gym club owners in the 90s and 2000s were also coaching their team programs. And so this was a great opportunity for them to make that transition from the coaching world or that focus of their competitive team into more of a leadership role and driving their business forward. And I think along the way, he's learned as much as he's taught. And I think what is great on our end of it is we get to sit through that. Now we get to be a part of it. But as a department leader at Kids First, we get to sit through that, share that knowledge, and then really recognize the value that it brings to these gym club or multi-venue sports clubs throughout the country, throughout the world, quite honestly. It is a 3.5-day total immersion business conference that focuses on the strategy of creating, developing, perpetuating a business with an emphasis on your culture and your vision and your growth.
Not small changes. We're talking about big lifetime changes for your business.
Oh, look at that. Tagline, I think.
I think it is part of our tagline.
But yeah, it's about really taking a good hard look at boot camp. You also have the opportunity to sit down with one of our accountants and take a look at how your company is faring financially, and help to close those gaps between where your weaknesses are and where you want your strengths to be, but also to do that aligned with understanding what the current philosophy or the culture of your company is, and is that a true reflection of what you want it to be. So we all have a culture, and we all have a foundation of our company, and many companies, their words don't match their actions. And I think sitting through boot camp is a really great opportunity to look at those hard truths and recognize that the answer to many of your frustrations or your challenges is right there staring you back in the mirror. That's a humbling experience.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. I think what also sets boot camp apart is just that experience, as she said, of a total immersion experience, that you're here at Kids First. Jeff has tried to do them outside of our building, and it's just not the same. To see it and be done in action, to talk to our department leaders. We have department leaders. We don't call them directors. We don't call them managers. They are leading a department. And to be able to do that here. And then part of that experience, I think, for so many of those boot campers is that the immersion and being with other gym owners, to build that network, to build that community. For so many gym owners, I think that they may not have, if in a smaller gym setting, they don't have somebody sitting across the desk like this, possibly. They might not have department leaders that are in any sort of, they're in the weeds out in the gym. And maybe some of the people that they know in the industry are their competitors, or people that are, they don't have those people they can call on, people that are in their inner circle to just bounce things off of. And with boot camp, it's so cool to have those sessions during the day, to have those moments at lunches and dinners, and just throughout the sessions to step aside and talk to a department leader of the Ninja program, because you want to get one started, but you don't have anybody to talk to. Or to sit down and just get in the brain of Jeff Metzger at dinner and hear anything you want to know about. That's really, I think, part of what sets it apart from other things, and what makes it so important to be here at Kids First.
And you stopped short of saying how much we party. You did mention dinner. So we take really great care of all of our boot campers, and we want you to feel like you're part of our family while you're here. We do give many opportunities to meet and pick the brains of our department leaders, our leadership team, our executive team. But we have a lot of fun, and I think you kind of started down the path of that networking and sharing perspective of other boot campers that are here. A full boot camp for us would be somewhere north of 45, 48 people. And it's so, that too is very humbling to sit in a room with so many smart, wise people that are going through many of the same difficulties. I think life is just... sometimes we go through our lives and we think that we are the only one with these challenges and these struggles, and we kick ourselves over and over for not being ahead. When you look at it in a bigger picture, you recognize that we're all fighting the same fight. We all have the same challenges. We go about those things differently, and that opportunity to really share and network at boot camp is just extremely valuable. And couple that with the information that we get from Jeff and those who are sharing other topics at boot camp, along with the immersion with the department leaders and just all of it. It is a really fantastic experience, and I think I'm excited to be able to do this podcast to share what those details are of boot camp.
So that sort of brings us to, that's a good synopsis, a good breakdown of what boot camp is. And our podcast is titled The Small Business Boot Camp, because a lot of the things that we're going to talk about are, the same things that we talk about in boot camp, but maybe more tactically. We might be talking, Jeff will come on and he may be talking about what's going on out there in the world, and what that what decisions that's bringing for us here at Kids First, or where we're thinking in terms of the future. Sometimes we might be sitting in here with a DL talking about what curriculum they're developing, or anything. We think that, as we're looking right now, I think in the world of post-COVID, or still in the end of it, I think we like to look at it as we're on the other second half of it. We're on the other side of it, but everybody's still kind of clawing out. Everybody's just trying to move forward. And we want to give people strategies and ways to continue to move forward. I think for so much, as you said, that Jeff has gained, that he has given from boot camp, we've gained just as much. And we want to continue to give to gym owners, and anybody that's in a similar industry, or in owning their own business, or whatever it is.
So I do have a question. When is our next boot camp, Megan?
Yeah. Well, it is, I don't know when people are listening to this, but it's January. For us right now recording it, it's January 20th, 2021. And we are excited. We hold boot camp twice a year. I don't know if we said that, but we hold boot camp twice a year. And our next one is scheduled for May 20th to 24th of 2021. So it's a Thursday to Monday. We end about noon, 12:30 on Monday, and we sail off into the sunset afterwards. But we have a boot camp scheduled. People can register online. Our boot camp website is metzgerbootcamp.com. They can go on there and look at more information. They can sign up. They can shoot me an email. We are excited to get that going. Now in November, our boot camps are typically in May and November. In November, we offered our very first virtual boot camp. So that was all new territory for us. And we had gym owners from around the world that were able to join us virtually, either for travel reasons that they couldn't travel, or also our room restrictions were a little bit lighter. We couldn't hold the 50 that we might normally have. So we had virtual participants, and right now, as it stands, we are still planning to do that again in May. So if you think that traveling may not be a good option for you, we are planning to have a virtual option in May again.
And I would just like to say that regardless where you are in your gym club ownership, or if you're ready for we're all in the same place coming out on the outside of COVID, but if you are trying to grow, if you are trying to recover, which is where most of us are, if you're trying to retire, you want to attend boot camp. If you have for us, our entire executive team here is new in 2021. We made some changes right after COVID hit, including Jeff's formal retirement from Kids First. But we have a new HR manager, a new accountant, a new vice president, and a new president. So our entire executive team is brand new. So if you have different leadership and you want them to be like-minded and aligned with you as you begin to rebuild and recover and move forward, boot camp is a really great jumping off point. Mm-hmm. It's also a great place to come back. We've had multiple boot campers who've been here 2, 3, what's our most off the top of your head?
Oh, I think 7 or 8 times for boot camp.
You just take something new away every time you attend. And some things, we've had this conversation, some things that may not be relevant to you the first time that you sit down through boot camp may be more relevant to you the second or the third time. Mm-hmm. So we really look forward to this upcoming boot camp in May. Look forward to hearing your stories and how you fared, how you're moving forward. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's been a lot of innovation and creativity out there. We've all shifted gears a little bit. So I think it'll be really great.
Yep. So what's in store for this podcast? Why are we doing this? I mean, here we are sitting. This has never been done before. No. What are we doing this podcast for?
Well, first, we're a little bit crazy. Second, in light of COVID, one of the things that we learned how to do was more technical technology. We're beyond Zoom. We're in a podcast now.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything, we want to be able to share some of what we have learned and what we try to educate our leadership team with and those who come to boot camp. So everything from creating a culture and repairing your culture to creating systems and methodologies that work really well inside your inside your company, but how to position yourself for a successful business and for growth.
Thanks so much for tuning in to our very first podcast episode. Jen and I are excited about the future of Small Business Boot Camp, Kids First, and the opportunities in our industry. We can't wait to share with you, bring on special guests, and help gym owners and business owners around the world. Tune in to our next podcast episode to learn about what Jen and I are working on at Kids First Sports Center right now in the executive office and our goals for 2021. Stay positive and keep moving forward.